Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making this adorable little tote bag and matching card. It's project number 4 in my Dress to Impress class kit. Check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com to see what current class kit I'm offering. Now if you don't have the class kit, no worries. I'll give the dimensions as we go along, and they'll also be posted on my website www.carolbcrafts.com. Just search Dress to Impress, the name of the stamp set, in the search feature. Now this class kit centers around the Dress to Impress stamps and the All Dressed Up bundles dies. All Dressed Up dies. It's a bundle until I think the end of May, first of June. So check out my website to get all the information on how you can purchase this. It's an adorable set. And today we'll be using this die that makes this little, you cut 2 of these out and it makes this little adorable little bag. So let's get started. I'll show you what you need to have in supplies. For your inks, you're going to need lovely lipstick and Memento Black ink. For your Stampin' blends to color our little flowers on the purse and the inside, I used Flirty Flamingo Light and Dark, Old Olive Light and Dark, and then Light Mango Melody Stampin' blends. Adhesives will be your glue, your snail, and your mini glue dots. Your tools will be your scissors, your take your pick tool, a bone folder, a die cutting machine, a manual die cutting machine, and then you'll also need a stamping system. I'm going to use my Stamparatus. All right, I'll clear this away and we can get started. This is your kit that you're going to get. And I just do need to tell you one thing. This is the paper that I'm using. Your paper is going to look like this. It's going to have the little roses. I ran out of this paper, so I'm going to use this for my demonstration. I hope that's okay. It doesn't confuse you, but they're the same size, so it shouldn't be a problem. So I have my 6x6 piece of DSP here, and I'll give you all these dimensions as we put this together. Here's a card. This is from the Dress to Impress note cards and envelopes. They come in 3 different colors, and there's 24 in a pack. So on our stamping, we'll need these 2 little labels and this stencil. You'll want to get a 4 by 3 1/4 piece of Whisper White. And so I'm going to put all this away for now till we're done with our stamping. We're just going to have our white paper and our labels. So let's do our labels first. I'll just put a random pad there. Keep that level. Let's see. These labels, if I can get them, pick them up. These labels come from the Ornate Frames dies, and they're not part of the bundle, but you can purchase them separately, and the number is on my website along with the dimensions and supplies. So I'm using the larger one. It's kind of like a squared label. This is an awesome little label set that you might want to consider purchasing. Ornate Frames dies. And I just want to mention that when you visit my website www.carolbcrafts.com, you can click on any of the items that we use and you can purchase them through me, and then I get credit for your purchase. And so now we are going to do this, and this is going to be a little bit different. I wanted, since I can't stamp these and give them to you, I'm going to show you an easy way to stamp them and get them centered where you want them. So let's grab our lovely lipstick ink, and we'll need the Hello Fabulous. That's what we're going to be putting on the front. Get our Hello Fabulous stamp. So I'm going to kind of just figure where I can put this anywhere, really. I just want to have a piece of paper over my pad. I don't want my pad to get ink on it. So I'm going to figure out, I probably will want to stamp that somewhere in here. Doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to reposition it before I stamp it. I'm actually going to move it to the center away from the edge, so it gives me more room to move it if I need to. So I'll pick that up, put one of these in the corner. Now I'm going to stamp this on my paper to get an idea where that's going to stamp. And that'll tell me, oh, it's going to stamp there. And I know that this is where my label's going to go, so all I need to do now is center my stencil as though it were the label, and that way I'll know where it's going to stamp. So when I figured out where I want that, I can put these in place to hold that down. And on the back of the label, I'm going to put just a little bit of snail to hold that in place while I stamp. Now I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And guess what? It is going to stamp right where I want it. Is that not awesome? And then I give you two. You only need one. If you know, learning curve and you make a little mistake, that's fine. You know you have an extra one. Or you can always use that for another card. All right, so we are done with the Hello Fabulous. I'll set that aside to dry. Well, actually, we are not done with the Hello Fabulous. Because now you don't have to do this. I pick up the wrong thing. I put without the ink around the edge, it looked a little plain. So I'm going to take this and kind of like a wheel, I have pinchy fingers. I'm just going to roll that across my ink pad. Just one time around, and that gives it a nice little edging. Plus it helps that I that I had that little bit of adhesive on the back to kind of hold it to my finger. All right, and no, we're not quite, are we not? No, we got to do the inside. We got to do the Happy Mother's Day because this is a Mother's Day card. But you don't have to do Happy Mother's Day. You could do anything there, and you don't even have to use this. You don't even have to do this label. You could just stamp right on the card if you wanted to make it something else. So let me clean this stamp off. Now we're going to bring in our 4 by 3 1/4 piece of Whisper White. I'm going to put this in the corner. We don't have to worry about so much about placement for these because we're going to die cut the rest of the stamping. So I'll put my Happy Mother's Day here, and I'll put it in the center so I have room to die cut my label. And there we go. It wants to come out of place. We're going to stamp that in Lovely Lipstick. Oops, it cut a little bit there on the edge. I'm just going to do that lightly one more time, just to make sure it has a nice rich color. Okay, and next I'm going to clean this off. And now we're going to bring in our 2 little rose stamps. One is just a single rose, and one is a double rose. And I just want to put those separate enough that I can die cut them. We're done with our Lovely Lipstick. Now we'll get our Memento black ink, because we're going to be coloring these with our Stampin' Blends. So put that back in the corner and ink these up. Okay, so we have our roses. Now I'll clean this up. So now we are done with our stamping. We'll do our coloring next. We'll bring in our Stampin' Blends. Now this rose, I looked at the roses on the paper and I tried to figure out, I probably could have used a petal pink, but I didn't have it at the time, so I just used light and dark Flirty Flamingo. So I started out, I colored all the roses with light Flirty Flamingo. I didn't color the center, that's going to be yellow. It's going to be light Mango Melody. So what I'm going to do now is take the dark Flirty Flamingo and do just a little bit of highlighting or shading, just not even really a lot. Just making little, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just so small. Then I'm going to come back in with my light and just kind of blend that in to I do want to preserve some of the lighter pink. I don't want it to be all dark. So I'm just kind of blending it in lightly. And then we'll do the inside, which is going to be the light Mango Melody. And let me get that one. And I tried to follow the coloring in the flowers. And then I guess you really don't need the light and dark Old Olive. I just used a little bit for shading. You could get by with just using either one that you have. And then I'm going to come back in with the dark near the base and make a little dot, kind of. And then I'm going to blend that in so that there's a continuity. The colors they just kind of blend together. All right, so that's our coloring. Now we're going to do our die cutting. Let me get our dies. Okay, we're going to die cut our flowers, and you can actually die cut all these at one time. So here's our label die from our set. I'm going to get some removable Scotch tape and center that sentiment. Hold that in place. Let me look at that. Yeah, that looks good. Now here's the die for the double rose. It takes a minute to get it just right, but it's worth the time and effort. And then here's the one for the single rose. Okay, so these are all ready to go through the die cut machine. I'm going to hold those down a little bit just so they don't move as I'm walking. So I'm going to run all these through the die cut machine. Now we have these die cuts. We do have some other die cutting to do, but this is all of the stamped images die cutting that we have to do. So I'll set these aside. So out of your sheet of paper, and like I said, yours is going to look like this. You're going to die cut this. We just need this part here. This part and one of these. This part is going to go across the back here behind the card sentiment. And we're going to do that by putting this in the corner. The corner of this is going to be real close to the corner of that, and then you want this near the edge. But you just want to make sure that you leave enough room to cut another purse here, another front here. You won't need another one of these, you just need one more of these. So it looks like I'll have enough room. So when I'm happy with that, I'm going to tape it down and run it through my machine, and I'll come back. Now, my machine, I'm going to run it through like this. If I try to run it through like that, it's going to be too wide. So you need to run it through this way. And hopefully you have a 6-inch, your manual machine will let you run a 6-inch piece through your machine. So we have this piece. I'm going to pull the tape away. Keep it untaped. I can reuse that tape for my next one. So this is what we have here. And you'll be able to see there's a fold line. We're going to cut along that fold line, but we're not going to do that quite yet. We're going to finish our die cutting. So we're going to turn this around. This time we're going to put it in this direction. Now you did get extra paper in your kit, 6x6 paper, that was just for you to use any way you want. So for some reason you mess up on this, and I say that because I tend to do things like that too, you can always use this paper. It's just as pretty. So no worries there. This is a learning experience for all of us. So all I need to worry about now is just making sure that that is going to cut and that all the die is covered all around. So I'm going to run this again through like this. Okay, so that's not going to work. It's not going to go through my machine. So what I need to do is cut some of this off. So I'm just going to cut off this and this. And now it should go through my machine. Okay, so we should have our little purse. And we're going to have to trim these up with our snips. So you can see there's a fold line along here. Just fold that. And then there's a fold line down here. Find it and just kind of gently fold it because we're only going to use that as a cutting guide. So you have a little stitched line and then there's a fold line. And so take your snips, and if it helps, sometimes it helps to fold it back so that you can get a nice clear line to cut. Fold it in the other direction as well, and then you'll have a nice line to follow. Okay, so I'm going to take my snips, and you'll need good lighting for this, and you're just going to follow along that line. Okay, so that's one side. Now this one is a little bit more difficult. Not so much. We want to preserve this piece here. So we're going to cut that off first. There we go. And let's see. Yeah, you probably will end up having to cut some of that off. It's going to be a little too long. I think it has to be cut to 3 inches. So you could use your trimmer for that. I may use my trimmer. Okay, here's my fold line on the side. And I'm going to fold it back just so I have a nice line to follow. Okay, so here are my pieces. I have these 2 pieces and this piece, which needs to be trimmed to 3 inches. But honestly, it's probably better to, let's just wait and trim it when we put it on our card. Let's see. Now the next die cutting that we're going to do is for the little purse and pocket. You have 2 sheets that are, I wrote it down somewhere. They're basically a half a sheet of paper, so, of cardstock. So I just cut it at 5.5. So this would be 8.5 by 5.5, 2 pieces. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to put this in place, and you want to put this near the top because down here we're going to have to cut our little label, this little label for the pocket in the front, and we're going to have to cut one of these, this label here. So you want to make sure that you put your die near the top so that when you'll have room for these dies as well. So we're just going to run these through. So we have the one done. We have our labels and 1/2 of our little tote here. Oops, that didn't cut all the way. Oh, well, it cut. It just... So that is one. Now we're going to do this piece of cardstock. We only really need to do this one. We don't need to do these again. So just this. So we're going to run this through just like this. So now we have our 2 pieces of 2 halves of our little pocketbook. We're done with our die cutting. We're ready to do our folding. So we're going to find our little folds. This one folds this way. This one folds this way. On the back, folds back. This one you don't want to fold too much. We want this purse, you could do it like this if you're making a different project, but in this project we want it to fold out. So just kind of make it so that it's out. You don't have to have a firm crease here in the center. And then same thing over here. You're going to fold, fold, and fold. And there's your little bag part there. So these 2 halves are just basically going to go together like this. So let's put these facing the same direction down. I'm going to put some tear and tape right along this little flap on the end. And be careful when you tear it so that you don't rip your... Burnish it a little bit. Then I'm going to remove this. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to put this like that. You just want to make sure your tops match and your lines, your fold lines across the bottom match up. So we're going to remove this backing, maybe. Match up the bottom and the top. Okay, and then press it down. So now that's that half. And we're going to go do the next half. I fold this underneath so it doesn't give me any grief. And next we want to do this flap and this side of my little purse or tote bag. Now I could use tear and tape now, but I'm going to choose to use glue because tear and tape is kind of, you have to get it exactly, and it's kind of hard for me to do that. So I'm just going to put glue, dots of glue, not a lot, down near the bottom. Had to get the little, my glue was sticking up. So you don't want to get so much that it runs. Okay, so there's a little dotted line of glue. And I'm going to match it up. And like I said, now because I'm using the glue, I have a little extra time to match up the sides and make sure that that's going to work. out. Okay, so I had to switch memory cards because that memory card was full. So now we're going to do the bottom. We'll get our, you can do tear and tape or glue. I think I might do tear and tape on these little flaps. I'm just gonna pull off a piece that I think is big enough, but not too big for that flap, and one for this flap. Kind of burnish it with my finger behind it. I'm out of camera too. Okay, get that off. Well, before I do that, I think, I'm trying to remember how I did that. Yeah. Okay. So for one of these flaps, we need to put some tear and tape on. Or you could use glue. You could use glue for this if you needed to. I'm going to put a strip here real close to the edge, and then another strip. I'll show you. I know you can't see what I'm doing. Sorry. Alright, so what I did is I put a strip here, 2 strips there. So basically I'll pull these strips off, push that down, and push that down. And then we will have our box. So I think I will use my pointy tool for this. My take your pick pointy tool. Comes off much easier that way. Less stress. I don't know if I burnished those. I don't think I did. I think that's the problem. Okay, let's try this again. Yep, that made the difference. Okay, so this is the unglued part. We're going to push this down, and we want to make sure that our box isn't wonky, or our purse isn't wonky when we do this. Okay, so we have our little purse part. Now we're going to glue the front on. And these are just going to go right there on top. And if you need to clean up some of this like I do, you can do that right now. So we're just going to put, instead of putting glue on this, we're going to put glue on our box. Make sure you get some in each corner. And we're just going to do this. Get as close to the edge as you can without, you know, where it was going to ooze out. Lay that on top and straighten it out. Let it set. And then we'll do the other side. And you have to act quick because that glue does set up pretty quickly. And then if one side looks better than the other, like mine, this side I didn't get it quite straight, but it still looks nice. I'm going to use the best looking side as my front. So this is going to be my front. And you know, when I say we were done with our die cutting, well, I was wrong. Because I just realized we need some straps for our purse. So this long thing here, this long die, it makes, and we also need some buckles. So here's our buckles. So we have a piece of Lovely Lipstick, 7 by 1.5. And I don't even know if I told you before that that was Lovely Lipstick, but that's Lovely Lipstick. So we're going to cut 2 of these, 1 and then 2, and then we're going to cut 2 of these like this. And so I'll do that, 2 of these, and I will be back and we'll finish our little purse. And this is So Saffron, 2 inches by 2 inches. Okay, so we have our 2 little straps and our 4 buckles. And I'm going to use my take your pick tool to poke this out. Okay, so I got my buckles out and put away trash. Okay, so this purse or tote strap, it needs to be curved, and then you have to kind of turn it forward. So I found that if you take the back of your Stampin' Up, you know, kind of like we've done the ribbons, and you gently, very gently, you don't want to bend it. Start out small and then work your way up. You'll get a nice curve in your, and of course you want the nice stitching on top when you do this. I'm not putting hardly any pressure with my thumb at all. Okay, that gives that curve enough. That'll make it bend without breaking. So the next thing we want to do is put our little buckles on. And this one I actually did the wrong way. So guess what? I can go back and do it the other way. See, we all make mistakes, but that's okay. We can fix most of them. And the ones we can't fix, we can hide. So now I have this, and I want to put my buckles on. And I'm going to do that with glue dots. So don't need these dies anymore. Get my glue dots out. So you have your glue dots, and you're going to go ahead and put this on wherever you think. I'm going to have like a 1/4 of an inch. And that 1/4 of an inch is going to be from here to there. And then when I like what I've got, I'm going to put a glue dot on the back. And I think I could try to do it this way, but I think I would rather just try to pick it up and lay it down there across that middle piece. So there's some of the glue dot on the Lovely Lipstick and some of it on the yellow, and that's going to hold that buckle in place. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Put that buckle on with about a 1/4 of an inch. You want them even so they don't look odd. Turn it around, get your glue dot. Pick your glue dot off gently. Put it down over that center. Some of it over on the red, on the Lovely Lipstick, and some on the yellow. That one's done. Now we're going to do this one. Same thing. Put our buckle in about a 1/4 of an inch or so. Get our glue dot. Put it over that yellow part. Make sure some of it's on both of the sides of the Lovely Lipstick. Okay, these are ready to go on our bag. And we're going to put some more glue dots on here. Before we put it on their bag, we're going to put some, well, you want to decide where on your bag you want this. So that'll tell you where you want to put your glue dots. I'm going to put it so that the top of my buckle is even with this. Just like that, okay? So I'm going to put some more glue dots on, and that means that anywhere behind here, I can put glue dots. So I'll start with here and here. Get back on camera. Here. And then one on the end. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Figure out where my buckle's going to be. Mark it with my finger so I'll know glue dot here, 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 and here. I'm just going down the row. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then these are going to go, you're going to turn it so that it's like this. So I'll put this one on first. Find my glue dot. There's that one. And I'm just going to bring this one over. Kind of make that little handle for my bag. And put it right there. So there's my handle for my bag. And might want to move that over a little bit. So I'll do the same thing on the back. Figure out where I want that. Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this one's ready to go on the bag. So right there. Bring this one around. It is a little bit testy, but we can win out. And so now we have our little purses, and you can kind of push this so that it is more pursy looking. We're going to put the pocket on, and I'm going to do that with glue dots as well. But let's put our roses on it. There's a rose here, and that's just going to go like right there. Put that on with glue dots. I think 3 is enough. That's going to go right here in the center. And then we're going to put glue dots in each corner. And the good thing about the glue dots is if you wanted to stick something in the pocket, you could, that you'd still be able to do that. Now this is going to go on the front, wherever you think it looks good. You just want to make sure that it's straight. And this one is not. Okay. Come on, you can do it. I think if I use this edge here, that will help me to get it straight. So I'm going to line it up with that edge right there. Center it and line it up with that edge at the bottom. There, that helped. So I lined this up with the edge of the bottom. Now we need our bow. And our rhinestone. We have two rhinestones, one large and one small. We're going to use the small one on our purse, so I'll just go ahead and put that one on. Use my take your pick tool for that as well. Right here in the corner, just to give it a little bling. Now the bow is a piece of petal pink metallic ribbon. It's 12 inches. And we're going to put that around this here. And then we're going to cross like that. Just make an X, and this is going to go here. Pull it kind of tight, but not too tight, because you don't want to damage your little handle. And you're going to make a loop with this one. Bring this one around the loop, and then through where your finger is, your index finger, bring that other loop through there. Pull it tight, and then adjust it. You don't want too big of a bow, because you don't want the bow to take center stage of your little purse. Okay, so there's our bow, and you can make it bigger if you want. All we need to do now is trim our these ends. Okay, so there's our bow. So this is basically done now, and you can put tissue paper in there, and you can put whatever you want. If there's a crafter, you could put a roll of ribbon in there. It could be candy, jewelry, anything that you want to slip in there. It will fit in there nicely. And now we're going to do the card, and hopefully the card will go quickly for us. This is the best dressed envelopes, cards and envelopes. So this is the piece that we cut earlier. We're going to put that on, and I'm gonna put that on with glue, because I want to be able to make sure I get that on straight. But I know that it's going to hang off a little bit, so I don't want to put glue too close to this edge here. So we'll put some glue here in these corners, and then kind of around. We don't want to get too close to that edge, because that is where we're going to trim. And it's going to be about a ½ an inch from the bottom, maybe a little more. You just want it to be straight. That's the most important thing. Most of it's going to be covered up though, so this is where we can trim it. Just come around on the other side and trim it to size. Now this is going to go here. We can put that on with some glue, since we got our glue out. Put some little dots across. It's about a ½ inch from the right edge, and then centered. Closer to the bottom, I think. A little closer to the bottom than the top. And there we go. Doesn't have to be exact. And that's even. Now we're going to put our hello right here, and you can put that on with glue dots, or I'm going to use glue again so that I have a little bit of wiggle room just across the center, just like that, just across the center. And we want it closer to this edge than that edge, and then centered over that lovely lipstick. Make sure that it's even. That's why I like glue. It gives you a chance to fix anything that needs to be fixed. Now this large rhinestone is going to go right here. So the front is finished. Now we're going to do the inside. Now if you did the sentiment like I did, you have your Mother's Day. I'm just going to put some dots across there as well. And we're going to put this up here, just somewhere up there, and make sure that it's even. Happy Mother's Day. And then we're going to put our little flowers on. And I'll put this on with some glue. And they're going to go in the corner like that. So that is our card and our bag. I hope you've enjoyed making this project, and I hope you've enjoyed all of the projects in my Dress to Impress class kit. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current class kits I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.